don't have that instinct automatically, because remember, some of this stuff is genetic. They either have it or they don't, right? This is what it's all about, people. Attack the boy! He must know that I'm in the dog fight with him. I'm next to him side by side. We have a bond that's unbreakable. Was that an intro? You have to go and click live on your thing right quick.
Yes, I did.
Was that an intro or what?
That was something else. Never
Listen,
seen that.
I know it ain't no house of bullies, but we're gonna try to do our thing, right? So we want people to come on in.
That's some nice, yeah, it was some nice editing, for sure.
It ain't done by me, I tell you that. It's done by my guy Miles Meyer. He changed his name to Frame Banger. So we're letting people get in now. And I appreciate you coming here.
Thanks for having me.
What did you do today other than dog stuff?
Oh, well, I have 3 boys at home, so busy household. One of them's going to during the summer he's going to like a welding school, so doing that, take care of myself, going to the gym, just pretty much setting up all my stuff too. Have to get all my stuff, make sure I have everything ready, because you never know when I'm going to get a call. So
right, you got to be on your own call now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My grandmother wouldn't allow us to have dogs growing up. She said that she had enough 2-legged dogs walking around the house.
Yeah, I bet. The kids, right? Yeah, it's a lot to go to have around your house.
Right. So people, I have on here. I am delighted to have her on here because she's definitely saved us tens, like Leo would say, tens and thousands of dollars. And I have Naomi on here. I met you once before at the Cinco de Mayo 2023 2025 Bully Show.
Yep. Cinco de Mayo Bully Show, XL Bully Show.
And I was blown away. I was like, everybody kept saying the same thing, that they're breeding for temperament. That's number one.
That's number one always. Yeah, with any dog, I think, any type of breed.
Well, especially the XL Bully, because they've gotten a bad rap for really no reason. Bullies in general, pits, bullies, and they've gotten bad raps to the point where they're banned in the UK.
Yeah, and that's sad because it's part of your family.
That's true.
So they're part of your family.
I got Naomi on here. She had a chance to take away from her busy schedule. She's got dogs and she got kids to sit here with me for 50 minutes or more. And she's from a kennel called House of Bulliez with the Z. And you can follow her. Is that correct right there? You can follow her.
That's correct, yes.
On Instagram and on TikTok.
And now, my repro page is House of Bulliez _Canine Repro.
Okay.
So they're connected. You could see it all together.
Yeah. And in this game, I realize in the breeding game, and we're going to get to you, Naomi, specifically what you do. But I realize that there is a window of opportunity to get a female pregnant when it comes to reproduction of animals.
Definitely.
And I'm a stud provider. Okay. I'm a male gigolo.
Yeah.
All I do is provide the sperm. I'm sticking and hitting and moving. Right.
You got all the studs going. They're ready.
Yeah.
They're ready.
So when I get guys or women who call me to want to breed their dog, I always ask a few questions. Number one, I ask them what kind of health tests.
Right.
Because dogs do have STD.
Right.
They can get it. And it can cause reproductive issues.
Right.
But I also say, hey, when did she come and heat? Oh, she didn't heat now. She's ready. I said, well, how do you know she ready? Well, I saw a drop of blood last week. I said, have you had a progesterone test done? And these are some with women too now. I
Yeah.
said, have you had a progesterone test done? She said, no. What is that?
Yep.
Like, wait a minute. You're supposed to know that before a guy does, if anybody.
Yeah.
And I had to educate them. I said, hey, you know what? A dog can only get pregnant towards the end of the whole entire heat cycle. Right? There's a window between 10 to 14, depending on the female. Nothing's really written in
Depend.
stone. Yeah.
Definitely. Depending on the breed too, it all it depending on the breed, atmosphere, the way they are, just are they stressful? Do they have anxiety? That all comes into play definitely when you're breeding. I always tell owners, the reason why mostly why I do my mobile is because most dogs are comfortable being at home, getting bred at home. Because if you take a female that's very high anxiety or high stress, when you actually go to the clinic or go to the hospital to breed her, that all comes into play where she's gonna be like, she's not gonna be accepting. She's gonna say,
Right.
no, I'm not in the right environment. I don't like it. It has to do with everything, not just hormones or levels, but every single thing has to do, especially when you breed a dog. Definitely. So yes.
Why does it matter if a female is stressed or not? If she's ovulating,
Right.
right? What's the difference?
Well, so when she's ovulating, she's ready. She wants to get bred, but if she's too stressed, her body's not going to accept it. They're going to say, no, I'm going to take care of myself first before I'm taking care of a litter. So they're not going to accept it. They're not going to, they're going to have that false pregnancy. They're going to have a pregnancy that's not going to, or not even inseminate, and actually hit the right aches and time, or even if it gets there, it's not gonna implant. So it all has to do with the female being less stress as possible, having that right DG level, and being accepted. A lot of them, you think, hey, she's ready, let's get it going, but you try to do it live, and she looks at the stud, and she's like, I don't want him, and she's not gonna accept it, even if you try and try and try. And I've had so many owners tell me that, like, no, she never gets it, she never gets pregnant, she doesn't like him, she doesn't want him. Well, let's do a TCI, let's do an AI, let's try it that way, and she takes, you know it just, it's crazy, I know we're talking about dogs, but if you think about, like, wild animals, you know what I mean? They want the strongest of the strongest, the best of the best, and to be the stud for their litter. And that's the way, exactly why dogs are the same way. They're not in the wild, but their mentality, they're physically, mentally wanting that big, best stud, and they're picky, so
Right. So let me ask you
um,
this: we kind of put the carriage before the horse, but tell us about what you do,
okay.
and tell us about your kennel, and tell us what services you offer in the L.A. Inland Empire, Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do and what kind of kennel you also have.
So we have what I do. I've been a vet tech for the past 18 plus years. I've been to many hospitals and clinics, worked with many doctors. Went to school. I'm registered. Um, so I have had a lot of years to know about lots of things, and I've helped out in the operating room plenty of times, plenty of years. But now I'm doing my own thing where it's like doing the whole reproduction. I do from PGs to AIs, TCIs, sperm analysis, ultrasound confirmation. So I bring the ultrasound to you as well. Go ahead and as well as the vaccines, deworming as well once the pups are ready. So I do it pretty much from the beginning to the end. Whatever you guys need.
So basically, when it comes to reproduction, when it comes to annual shots or new puppy shots, when it
Right.
comes to confirmation if a dog's pregnant,
Hmm.
you can do it all.
The ultrasound. Yep. I have
I
it
was
all, and it's all mobile.
yeah, I was shocked
Have
when
it
you
all.
put out all that shit. I was like, and you had the iPad looking thing, and you did a
Mhm.
drop, less than a drop of sperm,
Yep.
and this shit spit out like motility. Did it spit out motility rate and sperm count?
Motility, sperm count, and abnormalities. Yep.
Damn. It's
Yep.
like, and then
And it was a drop. That's why I told you. I'm like, this is a drop, and this boy is ready. And all his swimmers were good. They were doing well, and that was one drop, and they gave you up. You know, your number was so high that it was like that. It's that number times the mLs that he gave us. So she was well over. You know,
over a
well over
billion.
inseminated from him. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and people, we bred Titus to
Yes.
Victory D.
Beautiful.
Pellinera, Victory
Yes.
Ginga House, who is the daughter of Colt D. Pellinera. And you probably don't know who Colt is. I mean, you know about big time
I know.
dogs in the bully world, but
Yeah.
he's like in his era, like less than 4 years ago, he was top three in all of Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about show. I'm talking about working. Like he was the total fucking package. So when we had a chance to grab one of the daughters
Mm.
and the DNA matched and the
He
blood
took
worked,
it, huh? It
yeah, and
just
her
you're like,
health was perfect with all the testing for VWD, DCM1, 2, and all that stuff came back crystal clear. Because and I know, and you're gonna tell us about your kennel too, is that your kennel is based on the quality of the females. Period.
right.
So tell us about your kennel, House of Bullies. How many females? What litters you got cracking, etc.
Right now, we have one female right now. She actually got bred with Champion McLovin from Buena Vista. We have a couple of puppies on ready to go, find homes as well. And they're amazing.
Mhm.
They're all healthy. They all came out just amazing. I can't even say, more than that is like they have the bone, they have the muzzle, they have that head, their temperament, everything in one package. That's what we love. We're not a huge kennel, but this is our kennel that we have, and we personally just as a family love it. And they get raised with our kids, with cats, with the cat, my house cat. They get raised with chickens. They get raised with other dogs. We have a Frenchie. We have a wiener dog as well. So they're well rounded and socialized as well. So um, that it's just the best of both worlds when you could actually put into your kennel and watch them go home with the family that, hey, they're potty trained already. Hey, you know what I mean? They're adjusting well. They are well oriented with my family. They're doing great with my children. That's the best part when you could see what you produce and they go to a home that you're like, oh man, like I love that they're doing that. I love that, you guys love what we created and what you guys have in your home, and it's part of your family. Like we just love that. That's a big thing for us.
Nice, nice, nice. So now let me ask you a question. So how many how many bully shows have you been to, like the one that I met you guys at?
Oh, wow, that's a hard one. I've been so many, so many. I can't even count in my hands anymore.
Was that the biggest one you've been to?
One of the biggest ones, yeah, for XLs. Definitely
Oh,
for XLs, the
excess.
biggest one.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
because I've been to other ones. I've been to ABKC and stuff like that, and they have multiple. So yes, we've actually. I actually by myself. Usually I do it with my husband, but I actually by myself went um, with my youngest son. Let's go take a trip to Arizona. So I took my sister, my niece. Hey, let's go and do that. And they were stunned of everything that everything happens in the show. And I went to Arizona. I took pork chop and showed him, and it was it's something that it's like love to do because it's an opportunity to just get out there and show your stud or show your dog and actually have memories about that as well with families. So it's great.
I when getting back to this breeding thing because it's such an interesting topic, and this is where a lot of breeders fail is the breeding aspect, right?
Right.
So my question is like, how many ways, first of all, can you check a woman or check a female dog, her progesterone levels? Is it only one way, and that's blood work?
It's blood work, yes,
That
and
is
actually
it,
it's plasma. It's plasma. So I
plasma.
actually have to spin it down in my centrifuge, get the plasma, and do the test. Yeah. I
Now, how?
mean, you could also do a slide. I've done that not personally, because that takes a big microscope, as well. And you could do a slide and see the cells and what is called it's cornified, I guess is what it's called, where you could see when ovulating. So you could do a slide, but that's not going to give you the percentage is not going to be as much as a PG, I would say.
Okay. What are the in regards to in regards to the progesterone test?
Hmm.
What numbers are we looking for when we breed in natural tie, AI, TCI, and surgical? What numbers are we looking for? Say, you know what? Okay,
That's
you was
it.
good. You was good for natural, but now you're
Right,
only good for AI and
right,
TCI. But then now you're only good for surgical. Surgical,
right.
because I know,
So,
let me hold. So I remember when my guy Mark at Nemesis Kennel, shout out to Nemesis Kennel.
yeah,
I have sperm on ice over there Riverside, right, SoCal,
yeah,
and they kept sending him back, like, come back next week, come back tomorrow, come back 3 days later, because the sperm had to thaw out. But then for surgical, you can only breed,
and the
um,
highest.
right. I think it was TCI. They did a TCI. They could
Mhm.
only breed at the highest number or something. So what are the
Right.
numbers if you don't, if you know?
So my recommendation would always be first, is it a small breed? Is it a large breed? Does the owner know her breeding, her cycle, or what she took on last time? If she's brand new, never been bred, first time, it's one of those things that you kind of have to learn. So you could say, hey, she was at this level. Let's do an AI, and she might not take. Maybe she was ready for a TCI that time. But just a range of let's say, an idea of everything. I would say because doing it naturally, doing it live it's basically the same as doing AI. So AI is when you breed and you breed before the cervix. So when PG is in the lower stages, let's say around, I would say around 12, 13, sometimes 10, um, AI is recommended. The reason why AI is recommended then because when you do an AI or when you do a natural insemination, it still takes 24 to 48 hours for that sperm to swim to the uterine horn to get implanted. So by that time, the female is her progesterone's getting higher. So it makes sense. You know what I mean? Let's say she was at a 10, you bred her, 24 to 48 hours, sperm is still swimming. Her PG by that time will be at a 15, 18. You know what I mean? So it's gonna get higher as the sperm gets closer with an AI. So when you do a TCI, that would be higher than a 15, like 18, 20, 25, all the way, I would say up to like 30, 35s will probably be TCI. Those higher numbers, they're gonna drop. They're not gonna be accepting no more. It would just be surgical after that. And a TCI is when you actually inseminate, and I know when you saw that you were like, no, like it's when I was in a TCI, it goes into the cervix. So you could definitely see when she's open, how easy it is for me to just inseminate her, go into her cervix, and that semen, that sperm, has less of swimming hours to get to the uterine horn to get implanted. So she'll be ready. So it's a timing game. So she could be ready for an AI, but hey, tomorrow she's a TCI only. Don't waste doing an AI. You know, she could be TCI that day. And I've had owners tell me, well, can we just do an AI? I said, if we can, I always do what the owner asks me to do.
Right.
I'm there to provide a service. I'll do whatever you want me to do, but this is my recommendation. So if she's ready for, a TCI, you're telling me you want to do an AI, I'll be like, okay, but I really recommend a TCI because of her levels, because she will take a higher percentage for her to take, and that's a big thing for me. When you actually get that recommendation that I'm taking from you, I'm giving you, then you take it. You're like, you know what? Yes, let's go ahead and do that. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So my other question is now is like, um, when you do, and I've been writing down notes, and I asked you about this too. I said, what do you feel about giving the female any antibiotics prior to the breeding and during and then right after her insemination? And you gave me your answers. Can you repeat it for our viewers?
So a lot of people do recommend that. They do say, hey, let's just do it from whatever reason it is. It could be from traveling, from just in an environment. But my answer is always like, okay, yes, the bottle could say, the ingredients could say, safe for breeding dogs, safe to give a dog while pregnant, safe, whatever it is. But what if your dog is that one dog that gets a reaction? What if your dog is that one dog that gets a reaction that's going to abort those puppies, that it's not going to take that insemination, that she gets a reaction that she actually needs medical help? So are you willing to take that chance? So it's kind of that that time where it's like you got to think about everything. Should I give her antibiotics? Does she really need it? Should I do it just because? What if this does affect her litter? You don't know. What if she's totally fine? She doesn't get a reaction, but the puppies get a reaction.
Right. Right.
There goes your whole breeding.
So with breeding means intercourse. And
Right.
sometimes I think natural ties are always the best, but it's not the safest, and
Right.
especially with these inexperienced breeders where they don't have a breeding stand, they don't have a damn muzzle on the dog. They think the dog's just supposed to naturally get together. I say, hey, dude, most dogs ain't gonna let no strange ass dog get on top of them, and it's cool,
Right. Right.
right? And then she can jerk away while he's stuck in there, and you
Yeah.
can injure the dog.
Injure him.
Yeah. And
Injure both of them.
yes. And so my question is to you is how prevalent and common it is for females to have STDs that inhibits them from conceiving and then passing it on, and what issue does it create for the sire if she has an STD or UTI?
Oh my God, just STDs alone, you might not even see any type of reaction, or I would say like physically you won't even be able to see it. Sometimes they happen, you don't know. You know what I mean? Especially when you don't know who you're breeding to, and you won't find out until afterwards. You know what I mean? And when it comes, let's say the female has an STD, and when it comes to the male, he's gonna mate with her. It could cause him as well to be unfertile. So it could get to that point. When they have a UTI, he's gonna have problems as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, oh, get it done, nothing's gonna happen. No, you always have to consider the safety of the animals as well. That's why when after I bred Titus, I was like, just let me know that he's good. Everything went back well, because I like to check on my males as well. You know what I mean? It's not just, hey, let me get your sample, you're good, whatever. No, it's like, hey, let me get your sample. I want to make sure your penis is good. Your foreskin went back. You know what I mean? Everything looks normal. You're not bleeding. You're not stressing. You know what I mean? That's a big thing when breeding two pets, that you have to realize they both need attention, not just
Right.
the female that you're breeding. So when it comes to STDs, they both need attention to that. You know what I mean? It's not just they could get hurt. She could get a prolapse, and he could get an infection. His his foreskin won't go back in. Oh my God, it's getting red. It's getting swollen. Now he needs medical attention. You know what I mean? It has a lot to do with everything.
Yeah, I've kind of went away from live covers,
Hmm.
and I will only breed live to females that I've been breeding to for years.
Right.
Right. So that's on one hand, I can count how many females now that I breed naturally to.
And that's good, you know what I mean? And I don't say nothing negative about it. Like, if you want, as long as it's controlled and you know exactly what you're doing, that's perfect. Go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Just consider all the possibilities. Is what I'm saying.
So my next question is, and we touched on it when I think we spoke about it. Explain when and the purpose of a reverse progesterone test.
So, reverse progesterone is usually done when you're gonna do a C-section. Some people do it just to know when they're gonna whelp, when they're ready. They already, they want to know within 24 to 48 hours. Usually, it's when you do a C-section, where, okay, I'm gonna take her to this vet or to this person, whatever it is. I'm gonna take her to this vet. He's gonna do a C-section. He wants a reverse progesterone. Usually, most of the time, I always say, what is their rules, basically? What do they want from you? Because all vets are different. I work with different ones. I know how they are. They all have their ways. What do
Right.
they want? Do they want you to use a certain machine? Do they want you, hey, just get the progesterone? Do they have to be a certain number? You know what I mean? Do they not want it under a certain number? Please find all that out, and I'll do that reverse progesterone. And then that way, hey, yes, all they want is the number. They want her to be less than a 2. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do it. Go do it. Hey, she's at a 4. She's not ready yet. Give her a few more days. Give her a day. Depending on what day she is and stuff like that. We could do it again. Do it again. Oh, she's like at a 1.8. She's ready. Go ahead, take her. That's perfect timing for you to take her, because they want less than a 2. Like, some vets are very picky. I work with a lot of them, like I keep on saying, because you take her in and she's at a 2.1, they'll say no, go back home. I don't want to see her. And then that's a waste of time, you know what I mean? So, reverse progesterone, definitely find out your information, know what your vet wants, and it will come in handy.
So how do you like I'm showing you as Big Zoe at TMK Kennels. So my
Yeah.
question is, how do you like what's the soonest you can tell you can do an ultrasound to confirm if a female took or not? Like what's the
Um,
earliest you can check?
the earliest, a lot of people like doing it on that 30 day of insemination, first insemination. I like to 35, because a week makes a big difference. I like to at least give you the confirmation and an estimated amount. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, you know what I mean, the best. But I like to do that. So when I go in, I'm like, okay, 35 days. hey, she's confirmed. I see this many pups. She might have more. She might have less. I don't know. But this is how many I see confirmed. So let's say I confirmed 3 or 4. She might have more than that, or it might just be that those 3 or 4. But that's what I like. That's the day 35. Sooner than that, I could definitely do 30 days, which is the minimum. Um, but a week makes a big difference. So if you give me that extra 5 days, that extra week makes a big difference. Puppies are a lot more bigger. You could see them a lot more bigger. You could see heartbeats a lot more bigger and visualize the whole puppy, not just like a sack that that looks like you know looks like a puppy because there's so much going on in ultrasound. But yes, so I would say 35 days. That's my liking. Everybody has their own, but that's
Right.
what I like.
Can you do blood work? Let's say somebody want to know, like, let's say that you get an impatient ass person like me. I don't want to wait 35 days, even though I may have to. But
Mhm.
let's say I want to know in 31 days. Is there blood work that you can do to see if a female is pregnant or not?
There is. I don't do it, but there is that blood work that you could do. Yes.
Okay.
Um, so it's just basically a pregnancy test. You could do that at day 30, I believe. You could get it online, Amazon, stuff like that. Um, uh, Same pregnancy test. All you need is urine and stuff like that. But then again, are you gonna, what I mean? Why waste that time, that money on doing that when it's like just do an ultrasound? You could tell a lot more. You know
Right.
what I mean? And definitely one of the big things I like to tell people after that ultrasound of confirmation, from now on, the less stress as possible, because those are the times where it's like higher chance for her to have um, abortion, for her to um, uh, you know, get those what is the word I'm looking for? Get those puppies and reabsorb them is what it is. They reabsorb puppies. Make sure you get that X-ray later on, or if you don't, make sure you get another ultrasound closer to the date. That way, okay, confirm how many pets, how many puppies are in there. Because if it is, let's say a singleton, it's one puppy in there. It's gonna be a huge puppy. You're gonna have to have a C-section. If you're not planning on C-section, that's the best thing is a C-section for a singleton, because they took everything. They took all the nutrients. They took everything from the mom. They're the biggest puppy, and it's one puppy there. So I mean, you could always do a test. Recommend ultrasound, later on X-ray.
All right. So I had big controversy over this.
Yeah.
It's called the IDEX. And
Yep.
what is the other machine called?
One fold. And then
L1fo?
one fold.
Wanfo. Now, which one do you use? And which, because they give different numbers for different percentages. Like
Yes.
a woman ovulating that's 15 on the IDEX mean that she's probably a 6 on a Wanfo. Can you explain the
Yes.
difference machines and which one's the most popular one to use that you find
So
useful?
So it all depends on basically if it's going to be a clinic or somebody that does it, like a tech that does it as their work as well. I use OnePro Pro DX, which is the newest one. Um, it has it's amazing. I love it. A lot, the reason why is that big difference because they all have their own chart. So yes, it's going to be a difference from the IDEX to the OneFo to even the Toso. There's another one that's called Toso. They're all going to be different, but they all have their chart to follow. And there's a chart where you could see, hey, if you went and did a IDEX progesterone, and now you're doing a one fold progesterone, there's a chart where you could see how they combine and what the number is. So it's basically the same thing. They're just the chart. You have to go by the chart. Is what I'm saying. So if you start with one, stick with one.
All right.
That's what I would suggest.
So Now we're going to get into a touchy subject, Frenchies.
Okay.
I know you do a lot of them.
A lot of
What
Frenchies.
what are what are the complications you see when you're doing, if any, inseminations to a Frenchie versus a Labrador or a pit bull or a bully? What's the issues you
Um,
run into breeding them?
Breeding them. Okay. Well, breeding alone, Frenchies, there's they come in different sizes. All dogs do, but Frenchies, right? They the reason where I come in as well is because this male is too short for this female. As many times as you want and her laying her down and trying to hold her, he's not going to be able to. That's just anatomy. You know what I mean? But you want that. You want that. You want this male with this female, but their anatomy just doesn't combine. And this is where I come in. Sometimes the female is too small for the male, and he's not hitting it right, or he's too young, doesn't know what he's doing yet. You know what I mean? Um, that's most of the biggest concerns, or I guess issues. Not a lot about they're totally the same. You know what I mean? All the anatomy for a dog is the same. It's just if it's gonna be a longer way to, let's say, a TCI, is it going to be a longer way to the cervix, or just shorter? Um, all dogs are different, not just Frenchies, but all dogs are different. Some cervixes are like tilted, I guess you could say. So it takes me like maneuvering wherever it is, getting to it, and eventually hitting it, going in, perfectly fine. Um, I know I told you this, but like progesterone, same thing. It depends on big breeds or large breeds. A lot of small breeds. I'm sorry, small breeds or large breeds. A lot of small breeds do well with lower numbers. They do you inseminate in lower numbers, and they do well. Large breeds, I tend to see a lot higher numbers where they do a lot better to breed them. So I mean, they're all different, but that's just what my experience is, what I've seen most of the time, um, and that's pretty much it. Most of the time, biggest thing is like, where are they comfortable? I know
Hmm.
that's I like to ask the owner. I ask you like, hey, where is she comfortable? Like, I go by her, by the female's vibe. Okay, she seems more comfortable on the floor. Let's go ahead and do it on the floor. She doesn't care. Let's go ahead. She'll stand still on the table. Let's do it on the table then. You know what I mean? So I always go by however they are. I bring everything. You saw me, set up. Everything was set up by the time we were ready, and everything that I have is mobile. And I bring everything that I need to do all the services that I provide. So, and not just Frenchies, it just depends. Small dogs, big dogs, issues, not a lot of issues. It just like it just kind of depends. Are they gonna? Is she gonna let him? Or she's not. Is he too big? Is a lot of males, especially excels, are just too heavy, too huge, too big. Where they're not. They're gonna try to mount her, and she's letting herself, but nothing's happening because he's just too much weight.
Right.
You know what I mean? How are you gonna do that? ARTCI. You know what I mean?
So when we inseminate, how long does sperm last inside the female approximately?
Approximately 5 to 7 days.
Really?
That's like an approximately number, but not they're not all the same. Some might die faster than others, but that's just kind of the average number, I guess you could say.
Do you extract semen and package it for shipping? Some people may want to have it shipped out of state or shipped somewhere where it has to fly. Do you do extraction and shipping as well?
You know
I mean,
what?
well, you well not shipping, but you get it prepared for shipping.
You know what? I've been asked this question a lot, and I have been in the process of doing the extraction and shipping. I'm not fully there yet. But I could definitely extract and your stud. If you want to go ahead and ship it, that's totally fine. I'll let you know how to do it. But me personally, I haven't had just everything together for me to set that up for owners to do the whole extraction and shipping of the semen. But
Okay.
I will, and I'll let you guys know.
Somebody asked a question. Let me take some questions here. Tony, what makes a good stud besides being fertile?
Like,
Also, is there any intangibles that can be built? Well, I would say a dog's personality is born, not learned,
there you go. Yeah.
right? He's either going to be confident or he's not going to be confident. You can make him you can bring out the best in him, but if he ain't got those intangibles, if he's sketchy and scary from the beginning and you've never beat him, you've never did anything wrong to the dog and he's just still nervous and scary,
Yeah.
that's going to be him.
Yeah.
I don't breed to I don't even buy those kind of dogs because I don't want that in my program. So what makes him a stud dog is a multitude of things. Number one, his health have to be impeccable. Your dog got to be health tested, and I'm not talking about the Berry Essentials, the genetic testing for DCM and DM and VWD, but we're also talking about his hips and elbows OFA certified. All right, and that's just the medical aspect. But you also got to look at how smart is he. Intelligence is born, not learned. So, like people say, "Oh, my dog is smart. My son is smart. How smart is he?" Because I hear it from everybody.
True. Yeah.
So, and what kind of courage he has? Is he courageous? Is he forgiving? Does he have prey drive or play drive? And all these things that you are finding out about your dog can only be done through one step when you're looking at if he has the heart. You got to get him titled in the protection show, a course luring or dock diving, something that show the dog has the ability to learn, ability to take pressure, and the ability to work through but be clear-minded. So, Tony, you asking me a loaded ass question. And then it goes both ways with the female too. Female's got to have her shit together. I'm not breeding to a skittish dog or a dog that has, in the Dobie world, spots on a dog in the chest is a no-no, right? I'm not breeding to a dog that has white spots. I'm not breeding to white dogs because that's a defect for Dobermans. I'm not breeding to dogs that have fucked up health tests. I'm just not. So it goes both ways. What do you think, Naomi?
I think you said it like that. You said it in multiple ways. What to actually look for? You know what I mean? You just don't look. Oh wow, that's a cool dog. Let me breed him. No, there's a lot that goes into breeding, male and female. Definitely want to see how they are, their traits, they're good or bad, their history. You know what I mean? All their pedigree. Because it goes down the line, and it's just some things where you're like, I'm gonna be truthful. It's like I see dogs where like you shouldn't even be breeding that dog. You know what I mean? Like it's you should better the breed is what it is. Always better the breed. So breed to better the breed, not just the breed. Point.
I think people who are breeding to breed are breeding for the money. They're not breeding for the improvement of the dog or the improvement of the dog's history.
Right.
They're breeding for monetary, and those people don't stay in business long.
Yeah.
Because their vision is all about money. And if you're breeding good dogs, the money will come.
Right.
People will know.
Right.
So you have a waiting list as long as your arm because they know that you got great dogs. You know
Right.
what you have that it factor on what you're looking for.
Exactly.
And
we get asked like, oh my God, what do you feed your dogs? I'm like, To tell you the truth, it's genetics. It's not what you feed them. It's all going to come out in the genetics and their traits. You can feed them shitty food, which you shouldn't. You know what I mean? But they're not going to get the way you want them to be unless they have that already in them.
Right.
It's all genes.
I 110% agree with you, and I piggyback on that. So like the female carries most of the genes, and
Yeah,
so
they carry more.
yeah, and
Mhm.
so it's very important to make sure your female is rock solid. So my question is to you is, what are you looking for when you're buying a female for your breeding program? Like what are the aesthetics is wise what you're looking for, and then you can then continue with the intangibles, the personality or character.
I'm looking for basically, physically, you want to make sure that their bone is right, their muscles are right. There's a lot of times where my medical background, I guess you could say, comes into place because I'm like, I'll let my husband will like something, and I'll be like, no, I don't like the way their eyes are looking. I don't like the way their muscles are how they are, because I know down the line we're gonna be in that bed trying to get that, surgery. We're gonna be in there, trying to fix this and fix that, when you want to try to better the breed. So looking for those good hips, looking for those good facial structures, looking for the bone, the muzzle, the mouth, the teeth, everything comes into play because is it going to be a problem later on or is it not? Is it going to be is it going to be a breeding dog or not? If it's going to be a house dog, go for any dog you want. You know what I mean? Because you're going to love it. You're not going to breed it, and it's fine. I that's my thing. It's like if that dog is something you want, get it. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to breed it. But if you're going to breed, definitely has a lot, especially and then down the line, it's like, their behavior, their, how their traits, just how they are. Are you going to want to take them to the shows to get them championed out? Are they good for that? Are they going to want to do that? Or are they just a shy dog, doesn't want, putting their head down, doesn't, like you said, it doesn't show that ability? It's not going to make a good dog for that. So you got to look at everything.
What counties do you go you do service in?
I do. So I do. Riverside, San Bernardino, um, pretty much all IE. I do LA. I'll do San Diego. So I'll do most of Southern California. But in the same time, is I don't want to let somebody, like today. I had somebody tell me, hey, I'm in LA. I need a PG. I'm a travel vet tech that does reproduction. So I will definitely go to you anytime. Hey, let's set it up. This is my price and this is my travel fee. I want people to know that as well because I'm traveling to you. If you're okay with that, hey, let's do it. What time is best for you? Okay, let's set it up. But if that doesn't work for you, I will recommend somebody that is close to
Yeah.
you that you could go to because you know what I mean? Like I know multiple vets that it's like, hey, I trust them. They have good work. They have good prices. If you go to them, they're closer to you. It'll save you some money as well. You know what I mean? And I have no problem with that. Okay, thank you. Perfect. Because I'm helping. At least I'm helping somebody out.
Here's
Um,
the here's the deal. When you told me your price,
mhm,
we didn't quarrel over it. I paid it. It's no
right,
problem.
right.
If people are gonna nickel and dime and bitch about 40, 50 bucks, they in the wrong fucking game.
Mm.
You're talking about, let's say you
Breeding,
charge,
breeding.
yeah, you're charging a certain dollar amount, and this includes traveling time because you're about 60 miles one way,
Right,
which is a lot.
right.
And you're bitching about an extra $80,
Mhm.
but then you want to sell the pups for $3,000-$4,000,
Mhm.
bruh. She's not even asking you. She's not even asking you 10%, bro. She's asking you for less than 5% extra. That's the cost of doing business,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And we want to implore and support of small businesses because it's a more personable relationship. Like right now, I have you on my phone speed dial. I know that if I go somewhere or if a female is coming in heat and lo and behold, the person I'm breeding to just can't make it to my house to make it happen, to get
Mhm.
it extracted or do a live cover, I know I can call you. It's going to cost, but I'm going to get what I want.
Right.
Right.
And it comes down to, like we talked about, that timing. Hey, that female's ready now. Like the girl that Victory. She was ready then, and I had no problem telling her, you drive to him and you get that done because she's ready now. You know what I mean? Doing the second breeding, I'll go to you early morning. Let's get it. Because the longer you take, she's gonna double, she's gonna triple, she's gonna be done. And you want to get it done. It's exactly the same thing you said. I think my prices are fair. Like you said, I'll drive to you those 60, 80 miles. You know what I mean? Now it's gonna take me 2.5 hours to get to you, and two and a half hours to get back home. You know what I mean? But I'll do it because that's something that I'm able to do, that I'm proud to do. Um, but yes, I do have a travel fee. I am a mobile canine reproduction, but you will get, you'll eventually you will get, what you want, and I've done multiple people in LA County and have gotten their litters and be like, oh my God, thank you so much. Because it's like, hey, like, without me, they couldn't do it. But hey, those puppies are there. Like you said, you're going to sell them for $5,000, $6,000, whatever it is. You're going to get your money back, you know? And breeding, it's not free. It's
Yeah.
a money game. And, we have a kennel, so we put money towards our breedings as well. I do all the reproduction, and the puppies are here, vaccines, deworming, all that. But we also have to find that stud. If we need a stud, we have to do all the everything that comes into it. My stuff is not free, so I have to pay for the PG test and all that. All that comes into play as well when we do our own in-house stuff. So yeah.
How's that Big John? Big John.
I know
Listen,
he's huge.
he's huge. He's a freak of nature and no bullshit. We having him on the show tomorrow.
Awesome.
Alonzo. Yes. Hey,
Yeah,
so
and
go ahead.
even with Big John, he's one of the examples. He's so huge that he's not gonna Mount Everest. You know what I mean? Like Everest, she doesn't even come compared to him. So it's like he's not gonna, he's too big. He's gonna drop her. His weight alone, his paw alone, it's gonna drop her. And doing that TCI for him, hopefully everything goes well. I said, hey, 30 days, so. Usually it's like, hey, come into the ultrasound. We're crossing our fingers, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so numbers right.
yep.
So Gypsy just chimed in. If you see the comment she just left on the screen, you
Um,
see the comment.
yeah. Oh, awesome.
Whole lot
Thank
of
you so
bells.
much. Whole lot of bells.
Whole lot of bells. But
Yeah, and you know what I mean? Like, and Gypsy was like, okay, I'm going. There, and that's what being a breeder you have to do. Hey, she's ready. Okay, I'm going. I'm doing it. No questions asked. Hey, do we do another one? If you want to, yes. Better chance. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Perfect. You know what I mean? Like that's what it takes.
yeah, this female is gonna take it. There's just no doubt about it.
Right.
I mean, we did everything perfect. The numbers, the first live cover, and then the second one, and my boy is only 17 months old, so he's full of reproductive sperm. So he's got it. But I want to say, man, I really appreciate you coming on. How can people find you?
We have TikTok, House of Bullies, house_of_bullies on Instagram. Same thing on TikTok, just with the period in the middle. House of Bullies, K9 Repro, and then my phone number as well. It's on there, but I don't know. Can I give it online? I'm not really sure. Give it out live. So it's 909-372-2413. It's on my Instagram, TikTok. Message me, call me, text. I will give you guys all my information that I have. If you have any questions, I'll give it out. If you guys want to set up an appointment, I'll schedule you in. Like I told you, it's you just have a question. I like to give people answers. Like my biggest thing about doing my own thing now is that I don't have to tell you, oh, in your vet visit, hey, do this for your pet, because the vets are costly, they want that money. So I'm the one, hey, you could do this, try this at home. Whatever's gonna help your pet, I'm there. I'll give you the information. If I know it, I'll give it to you. If I suggest a certain thing, please take my advice. Like I said, 18 plus years in the field. I went to school. I have an education in my head.
Yeah.
So please take it. I'm here. I'm free.
And people, we're gonna go live on TikTok for like 30 minutes and just dog talk again. But we're gonna do it on TikTok this Saturday. Don't know what time, but you definitely got to go follow her on TikTok. TikTok is, to me, I think TikTok is better platform and not so many restrictions. But go to House of Bullies TikTok, and then follow me as well on TikTok, and we're gonna do a live pop-up and just talk about dogs, what recapping what we talked about today and going forward, just trying to educate people and try to help people out here. Free information. I mean, listen, you don't have to go buy a book for this. Just ask us. Us. In the meantime, people, I always say, be resilient, but be responsible. Until next time.